Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor, Madison365, with your daily update for Tuesday, June 15th. It is a pretty good day in terms of COVID numbers. Um, we'll talk through those first, and we'll hear from the sponsor, and then we will have some more local and national news for you. Today, I'm not sure I'm not sure I believe this entirely, but the state today is reporting only 431 new test results, which in a way makes a little bit of sense that it's that low, coming off a weekend where we saw 4,200 tests over a 3-day period. So these might just be kind of the leftovers from the weekend. But also, these are all new results, right? So people being tested for the first time or testing positive for the first time. And at this point, there just aren't very many people who have never been tested till today, right? So that number of new test results is going to get small. But of those 431, only 100 were positive. So that's about 17% of those. So it's kind of a high percentage, but still only 100 new cases today. That's the bottom line. More importantly, the positive test rate for the past 7 days, which is all tests in the past 7 days, 1.2% were positive. That's slightly higher than yesterday. Yesterday and Friday it was 1.1%. 1.2% is still very good, right? To want it to go below 1.0 is getting greedy at this point, right? 3.0 is where you want to be, below 3. I talked with epidemiologist last spring, I guess. Must have been early. Must have been like April last year, early on. And he said, this is Dr. Sethi from UW, and he said if your positive test rate is like around 1 or 2%, like schools can be open. Like that's how important that number is to him. So where we are now, 1.2%, it is perfectly fine. We have a handle on it. The virus is under control here. It's still out there, right? We still have 100 more people today test positive. We still have people dying of it. If we're reporting 4 new fatalities today, but it's not like wildly out of control. It's not like you can't. There was a point in the fall where you could not go out of your house without being exposed to virus, or assume you've been exposed anytime you're around any other people. And today this is not the case. So and we've got it to the point where we have the adequate staffing to do the contact tracing, right? So those 100 people, we have enough public health workers to do all the contact tracing on those 100 people. Whereas early, in the fall, we get 7,000 new cases a day. We just couldn't do it. So that helps considerably in controlling the virus, because then you can isolate those 100 people, contact everybody they've been in contact with, test them, isolate those that test positive. All that stuff is just much easier to do at this lower level of infection, right? We are able to have this lower level of infection in large part because it's summer and more people are outdoors and events are happening outdoors, and this virus does just not seem to spread very much outdoors. But also, we're getting a lot of people vaccinated. We are about 16,000 more people got vaccinated since yesterday. That's a step in the right direction. We're basically about a tenth of a percentage point of the population each day finishes their vaccine. So now we're at 49.2% of Wisconsin has gotten 1 dose, and 44.5% of Wisconsinites have completed the vaccine cycle. As we get to and past 50%, even just having 1 dose, that's affecting the spread numbers. It just is, because even if you get 1 dose of vaccine, you're not 100% immune yet, but it does diminish the impact of the virus on you, and it makes you less likely to contract it and less likely to spread it. So even though even just that 1 shot, if you need to get the second shot, get the second shot. I'm not saying 1 shot is enough, but I'm saying even half of Wisconsinites getting that first shot does, on a population level, start to impact those numbers. So that's the really good news. We don't know anything more about variants. Variants will be updated on Thursday. Okay. Any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Once again, there are, at this moment in time, there are no restrictions from the state or from any counties that I'm aware of in Wisconsin. Some businesses and some government buildings still require masks. I know, like, for example, Dane county-owned buildings still require masks. So the other day I had to stop at the courthouse to look at some case files for a story I'm working on. I had to put a mask on for that, and that's going to remain in place till July 6th. Individual governments, individual businesses are allowed to require masks. My kids' summer camp convention thing is requiring masks because they're all kids and they're all unvaccinated. Makes sense. So we're not completely out of the woods yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident we're in pretty good shape. All right, that's the coronavirus news for today. We're going to take a short break. Don't scroll away. We got some really interesting news about street design in Madison, about Juneteenth at the soccer match, and a couple of national stories as well. Don't go away. Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Here in the Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
that's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care, we can do more. We can achieve more.
We can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
All right. On the website today, Madison365.org, we've got a story about this effort at the City of Madison to talk about street design. So obviously, we use just a nice picture of a street. That's State Street, downtown Madison. Our own Matthew Broggan is helping with this effort. The City of Madison has engaged a company called Equity by Design, which is run by Annette Miller. And working with Annette, Matthew Broggan, who's the host of Finding the Warmth of Our Sun. New episodes every Wednesday, right here on Madison365.org, on our YouTube channel, and on wherever you get your podcasts. But basically, they're asking the question: how can Madison design its streets with an eye toward equity? And you think streets, and you hear people, white people, fragile white people, say like, "Oh, even streets are racist now." Well, yes. Why is everything about race? Because it's about race. Look at Allied Drive in Madison. Literally, the way the streets are designed cuts that neighborhood off of the rest of the city. It's a mostly black neighborhood, and the streets around it were designed in such a way that it's almost impossible to walk out of that neighborhood to anywhere else. And that caused it to be a food desert. That's caused social isolation. That's caused basically segregation on the south side of Madison. Based upon largely street design. So the City of Madison is hosting two 90-minute conversations. One of them's tonight. One of them's in about a half an hour at 5 o'clock. And another one's tomorrow at noon. And they're both the same thing. So if you can't make the one today, and you can make it one tomorrow, please do. And they're going to make a presentation from the city planning department and have some breakout discussions about the way Madison streets should be laid out with an eye toward equity, and that's going to shape what the city looks like over the next 10 to 20 years. Like the environment, how neighborhoods are laid out actually does impact race, and racism is involved. So that's happening at the City of Madison. Also, this weekend, I mentioned this briefly yesterday, but I have more details now. Fort Madison is hosting a Juneteenth celebration at its game. It's a Father's Day game, but they're also doing Juneteenth because it is on Juneteenth. They're playing the New England Revolution 2, and they're going to have Patricia Clifton, who's a viewer of this program, regularly comments here. She's going to be singing the Star Spangled Banner, but also Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is fantastic. It's the Black national anthem. And she's going to be singing that ahead of that Forward Madison game. Matthew Charles, a local poet, is going to be doing a reading at halftime, which is fantastic. And Black Star Drumline is going to perform. And the Chris Fox, the co-founder of Featherstone Flamingos, the supporter group, designed a Juneteenth special Juneteenth scarf. Those are available to order now and pick up at the end of the month, $25, and all the proceeds go to YWCA. So good on them for celebrating that Juneteenth this Saturday. Turning now to national news, the Senate has voted 53 to 44 to confirm the nomination, to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the very important and very influential D.C. Court of Appeals. She was opposed by many Republicans for obvious reasons, but several broke with party lines. Republicans, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, Susan Collins of Maine, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, all broke with their party and voted to confirm Judge Brown Jackson. Also in national news today, CNN reports that they've obtained a trove of emails showing how the Trump administration, after Trump himself and his closest aides and allies pressured the Justice Department to find evidence of fraud, non-existent evidence of non-existent fraud in the 2020 election. Take a look at that. It's discouraging. It's alarming that the sitting president, with using government resources, is trying to use the Justice Department to overturn an election, and it's right there in black and white. So that's the news for today. The Women's Leadership Summit is tomorrow. If you haven't registered, go to wisconsinleadershipsummit.com and click Women's Summit, and you can register there. It is free. It's 2 days. It's a dozen panels. It's more than 40 women of color sharing their wisdom, donating their time, sharing their wisdom and experience with us to help us learn how to support them and to help women of color especially achieve great things. So this show will be late the next 2 days, as that summit wraps up about 5 o'clock, and then I'll hop on here after that. So I hope you can join that. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again real soon.
This is 365 Media.